All right, 1 second here. All right, we're going holding by Pirke Avos, ethics of our fathers, as it is known. Again, one holding by Pirke Avos, ethics of our fathers. We are actually going to start a new Mishna today. After I don't know, 45 classes on the other Mishnah. The Mishnah, we're at chapter 2. We are chapter 2, chapter 2, Mishnah 16. Part 1. Again, on welcome everyone, holding by Pirke Avos, ethics of our fathers, holding by chapter 2, Mishnah 16. This is part 1. Guaranteed there'll be a part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5. So a lot to speak about here. I don't know if we get to part 40, part 41, who knows, but see where all these classes go. So the Mishnah says, so therefore, what does the Mishnah say? Mishnah tells me, in the name of Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Yeshua says that an evil eye, the evil inclination, and hatred of other people remove a person from this world. Right? Third thing, hatred of other people. So we always say that the Torah says a Jew cannot hate another Jew in their heart, right? In their heart, as they would say. Can't hate another Jew. I can hate what they do. Can't hate them specifically, right? Because that's exactly what the Torah says. So technically, you can hate non-Jews. But also, hating people is not good. So every psychologist out there will tell you it's for sure not good, right? Keeping everything inside, and even if it's not inside. But hatred in general is bad. It causes anger, causes other problems as well. So these three things, the evil eye, we're going to speak about. Probably not going to get through all of it today because we'll have to speak about. But you got the evil eye, the evil inclination. Right? What does the evil inclination do? Gets us to sin. Right? Look what happened in the beginning of Genesis. Mr. S dressed up as the Satan, as the snake. Some say he was outside the snake. Some say he spoke for the snake, and the snake spoke. Whatever. But he caused death to the world, right? Essentially caused death to the world. And the evil inclination, what's its job? Its job is to get people to sin. So obviously the more sins the person has, and depending on what they do, can kill them, right? We can look at this literally, can actually take them out from the world. They could die because of it, right? So again, you got three good things here. The evil eye, the evil inclination, and hatred of other people, right? Remove a person from this world. So let's say what the Gemara says. The Gemara says about the evil eye. The Gemara says that 99% of people die because of the evil eye, right? Because we call Ayin Har. Die because of the evil eye. Now, what exactly is evil eye? It's spoken about in different contexts, different platforms. But essentially, essentially, the evil eye is that a person not happy with what they have. They are, let's say, they desire other things. Could, I don't know if it comes under this category, but obviously the Torah says in Book of Exodus chapter 20, 10 Commandments, speaks about one of the 10 Commandments at the end, says, do not covet. Now, do not covet, let's say you desire what, I don't know, property, something that somebody owns. You convince them to sell it to you, but they didn't want it. Right? So you threaten them, cajole them, whatever it is, and they sell it to you. Right? The deal's a deal. The Gemara says, if a person would hang someone over a cliff and say, you're going to sell me this property, the person says no, right? You start to let go as you're hanging him over the cliff. You say, okay, I'll sell. And he signs and he sells. Is that a good sale? According to everybody, it's a good sale. Why is it a good sale? Because it's what we call in Talmudic logic, he's a Gemara Makdim. He finished, completed in his heart to sell. But if he wouldn't have sold, if it wasn't under duress, he never would have sold. Good. So I had this question. Let's say after the fact he sold. He hires the best lawyers. And he tries to convince the court he sold under duress. Person put a gun to his head, hung him over a cliff, threatened blackmail, I don't know, whatever it was. Person felt threatened. They're under onus, right? It's not in their control. So they sold. Very good. Is that a good sale? So they're going to claim, I only sold under duress. If I wasn't been hung over a cliff, I never would have sold. Okay. But what does the Gemara say over there? The Gemara said, what was his intention? Did he have intention, or she, doesn't really matter, did he have intention to sell or not? Right? What's the answer? He had intention to sell. It's a good deal. Right? Maybe for the other side it was a good deal. For him, maybe it wasn't such a good deal. Okay, he sold. 100% he sold. What was his intention? To sell. But he could say in the back of his mind, if I could get out of this, I would sue the person and get my property back, or get whatever it is to me back. What's the court going to do? Rabbinical court's going to throw it out. Secular court probably throw it out. Because at the end of the day, he sold it. Right? I can't say 100% for secular court. Right? Maybe they'll say, well, they'll say, did you put a gun to his head? Yes, but he agreed to sell it. Right? Maybe in secular court, maybe it's a good claim. He never would have sold it otherwise. Okay. Well, let's say, then you have to put him in, protection plan over here. Got to hide him now, because now, if the other guy has to give it back, his wife's in danger. Yeah, but okay. According to Jewish law, it's a good sale. Good sale. Doesn't matter what his intention was. Right? In this case, what was his intention? Let's say better. What was his intention? To sell. I sell him because otherwise he's going to die. Right? He's selling in order to save his life. Okay. But at the time he sold, forget about what his intention was later. Or what his intention is then. Even though we didn't say it. Comes in front of the court. Did you have intention to sell it? Yes or no? Yes. But he could say, but I was being hung over a cliff. Right? Don't get me messed up with the details. Did you intend to sell it? Intended to sell it. It's a good sale. Right? I remember, cracking my head on this when I first looked at it. Logically. Again, these are laws of damages. These are laws, business dealings that should resonate with us, that should make sense. Yeah, this is kind of hard to understand. As one of my rabbis said, yeah, you study these things, makes you wiser, right? The laws of damages makes you wiser. Very good. Yeah, but you still have to remember it's divine. So we got to understand it. We got to understand it to the best of our ability. What's going on over here, right? So the issue is a person had intention to sell. But obviously the question is he's selling under duress. But if you sell under duress, isn't it a good sale? Anyone, God forbid, has ever been in foreclosure or close to foreclosure? They have to sell. And they're going to sell at a discounted price. Why? Because everyone's running after them, right? Most likely the bank, right? They're behind, many months, so they don't have a choice. Sometimes the bank will take it over. They'll make what we call a short sale. Anyone knows real estate lingo. They'll put it out there. They'll try and get the best price. And that's it, right? So a person selling under duress. So you got investors coming like hawks. They know this person has to sell, right? Try and find what they call distressed property, right? Person's in distress. You come with the solution, right? What's the solution? You get them out of their mess. Their mess is they owe all this kind of money. You can sell their property. You can take over their property, right? So good way in real estate without using your own money, right? What do? You sell they give you the deeds. You pay the mortgage, right? You take over the mortgage. Now, it doesn't make sense to take over the mortgage. You sell it to someone else. You give it over to someone else, right? Make a deal with the bank, whatever, transfer it. Very good. But then you give it to someone else for a fee. Or you give them a rock bottom price. Take off, let's say, 60% of the value, right? You take off 60% of the value. Right? You take off 60% of the value. And they'll sell it. Or maybe 50%, right? How are you going to get an investor involved? Right? At least 30% off. If it's not 30% off, they won't buy it. Right? They want a significant discount. Either they're going to flip it to someone else, or they're going to hold on to it. Yeah, 30% off is pretty good. Right? 40% off is even better. Get it for half price, pennies on the dollar, okay? But you're providing a solution. You are absolutely providing a solution for them. What's the solution? The solution is you're taking them out of the misery. They're desperate to sell. You come with a solution. Yeah. So it used to be back in the day, people would get 100% financing. Beautiful. Then you had what happened in 2008 and everything went haywire because a lot of people were delinquent in paying. So the banks had all these properties and a big problem. Huge scandal. Right? Now it's much harder to get loans. And even if people want to buy it, the interest rates are up the gazoo. Right? Get high interest rates. Right? At least in the States. Other places can't say. But in the States, the interest rates are very high. So since the interest rates are very high, things don't sell. Right? Or things aren't selling as quickly. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. What's the point? The point is the person needs to sell. Person is desperate to sell. Otherwise, they lose everything. So at least let them get something. Let them get, give them 20% off, 30% off. Sometimes they'll say it's not worth it. They give it back to the bank. Okay. Yeah. But I would assume some people actually want to try and hold on to the property if possible. Or if they can't hold on to the property, at least get something for it. Get something, I'm not saying of value, but they're desperate to sell. They call it a fire sale, right? They're desperate to sell. Now, if an investor comes in, they have a week to sell this property. They've been trying to sell it. They can't sell it, whatever. Someone comes in and says, I'll offer you, 40 cents on the dollar, 60% off. If the person's desperate enough, they'll give it to them. They have no choice. Otherwise, they get nothing. The better get something than nothing. Okay. Now, analyze the situation. If the person sells at 60% undervalued, it's a good deal for the buyer. Seller's getting whatever he can get. Is the sale a valid sale, yes or no? It's a valid sale. The seller cannot come back, a week later, 2 weeks later, a month later, and say, hey, I'm contesting this sale. The only reason I sold it so undervalued because, I had the mafia after me. I had to sell it. I didn't have choice. I needed the money. Okay, very good. Court's going to throw that out. They're going to say, what was your intention? When you sold it, what was your intention? To sell it. You needed to sell it. Good. So you end up selling it. You sell it at 60% discount. Very good. You get the money. Everything's done. Okay. What's the bottom line here? You sold it. Can't say in the back of my mind, if I wouldn't have been in this situation, I never would have sold it. They're not going to care. It's like you, of course, not going to care either. You sold it. You got the money. You sold it. It's over. Yeah, I'm under duress. You're under duress. You have no choice. A lot of people have been in this situation. You have no choice to sell. But you have no choice. Now, then you're going to come back and say, no, I didn't really mean it. It was only under the circumstances. No, you sold it. The matter was in the back of your mind. You had intention to sell. That's exactly what the court's going to ask. What was your intention when you sold it? So you say, well, I really had my fingers crossed. I had my toenails crossed. Totally forbidden, yeah? Totally forbid you. I had my fingers crossed. I didn't mean it. What do you mean you didn't mean it? You signed. You signed. I under duress. So what? What do I care? You signed under duress. You signed. You sold it at a 60% discount. Okay. Right? Now, the person buying the property, let's say, they desire that property. They want that property. Now, the fact that they want it, and the other guy says, I'm not selling. I'm not interested in selling. You try and make an offer this way. Try and convince that way. Try and do the other thing. What's the bottom line? You over Torah prohibition, do not covet. Now, what's the novelty over here? What's the novelty of this verse, do not covet? You know what do not covet means? Even if you pay. Even if you paid full price or over the price. You decided the person didn't want to sell. You convinced them to sell. If you stole it, that's one thing. You're not stealing it over here. You're convincing them to sell it. They didn't want to sell it. But they end up giving in because you drive them up a wall. They say, fine, here, take it. You'll take top price for it, let's say, or even more. The person buying it, you're going to say, come on, it's a good deal. The seller's Gemara Machne. He decided he's going to sell it. The other guy acquires it, very good. But he only sold it because the guy was bugging him up the gazoo. So the fact that he sold it, and he really didn't want to sell it, even if he sold it on, in his mind, he said, okay, I'm going to sell it. The other person is still transgresses the Torah prohibition of don't covet. Why? Because the novelty here is he paid. The other person sold. Very good. But look at the circumstances. In general, the person never would have sold. But you have the desire to buy it. Yeah. If he did it in an underhanded way, it's still a good deal. But he might be transgressing over here, Torah prohibition. Don't covet. Right? Don't covet can also mean even if I don't pay. Let's say you have a desire, you're jealous of somebody. We'll get to the evil eye in a second. You're jealous of somebody, what they have. And you try and figure out how can I get it, or get something like that, or, whatever. And let's say you don't buy it. Let's say you don't convince the person to sell, or you don't buy it, or get it secondhand, or whatever it is. Yeah? It can also be don't covet. It can either be I put money down, or I don't put money down. But I would say the bigger novelty is even if you pay for it, you're going to say the other guy sold it. Okay, but you bug them up the gazoo to sell it. They end up selling it. It's a good deal all around. Very good. Still, why did the deal come about? Because you coveted that property. And the person didn't really want to sell. If he wants to sell, very good. That's not an issue. What if he didn't want to sell? And as we said before, you hang him over a cliff and say you're going to sell? Yes. Whatever price, even if he pays more for it. It's a good sale. Doesn't matter what's in the mind of, the back of a person's mind. The issue is he sold. Signed a document, he sold. Doesn't matter. Duress, not duress. Anybody care? Nobody cares. You want to say they forged the signature, other things, okay. Then we get into all kinds of legalities. But if he sold 100% with the knowledge that he's selling, even if he's under duress, what's the din? What's the law over here? He sold. If I didn't have the Talmud to tell me that, I'd say you're out of your cotton picking head. Why should that work? The person's under owners. Never would have sold before. Never. Never in a million years. Right? Never in a million years. Never would have sold. Right? But he sold. Now back to our case. What's our case? Our case is a person is not happy with what they have. They're jealous. They're jealous of what someone else has. Or they desire something else that someone may have. Again, this could come under the prohibition of don't covet. Right? So it could come under that prohibition. But it's not just they desire what someone else. Let's say, for example, person builds an extension to their house. It makes them jealous. Yeah, it can make them jealous. Now, different scenarios why the person's building an extension. Let's say he's got a lot of kids. He's only got 2 bedrooms. 3 bedrooms, needs 2 more bedrooms. Okay. That's going to help the situation tremendously. Yeah, very good. So they're building out because they have to. And maybe they didn't build for many years because they have money. Now they have money. Very good. So they're not building, a whole fancy thing to make people jealous. But let's say somebody looking at that feels bad. They feel bad either because they can't build. They're not in a position to build, or they can't in either case for whatever reason. So they say, this person builds, makes me feel bad. Again, we're not talking where they're building, a monstrosity and a whole fancy thing. That's another issue we'll get to. They're building something very simple. Yeah. Building on a wall, putting electricity, whatever, 2 rooms. They need 2 bedrooms. And now they're building 2 bedrooms. Very good. But the other person feels bad. So you tell me, okay, even if they feel bad, even if they're jealous, who cares? The other person's building with permission. Got the money, got other people around them, allow them to build, right? Let's say it's an apartment building, whatever. They got to get everyone's signature to build. Okay, got everyone to sign, or the majority to sign, let's say. And you're watching this and you say, wow, I don't have money to build, I couldn't build, who knows what? And you feel bad. Now, what happens at this point? You feel bad. Now, at this point, a person feels bad. Comes the accusing angel, i.e. Mr. S, the Satan, the evil inclination, the angel of death, whatever you want to call him. Comes along the angel of death, or the evil inclination, and he goes in front of God himself. And what does Mr. S say? Mr. S says, look, Reuven over here is building. He's building 2 extra rooms. Shimon over here feels bad. He's making Shimon over here feel bad. Now, what could God easily say? What are you bringing it to me for? Why should I get involved in this issue? What's so bad? What's so bad? He's building. Let him build. What does the accusing angel say? Right? What does Mr. S say over here? Mr. S said Shimon feels bad. Reuven is making Shimon feel bad. Reuven deserves to be punished. So what's God now going to do? Shimon feels bad. You know, he's in a funk. He's depressed. Put on Prozac. Yeah. Shimon's feeling bad about himself. How bad doesn't really matter. He feels bad. God doesn't want people to feel bad about themselves. So what does the heavenly court do? They open up Reuven's file. They look into what the person's doing to see if there's any merit to what the other person feels. To see if Shimon has real feelings over here. Now, what's the obvious question? The obvious question is, why should Reuven's file be open over here? He's building. He's got permission to build. What's the problem? The problem is, it made Shimon feel bad. Whatever reason. So now, the heavenly court has to investigate. Is Reuven really making him feel bad? Or is it Shimon's problem? Because Reuven's building and Shimon feels bad doesn't mean it's Reuven's problem. So what does the heavenly court do? Investigates. Amazing thing. When's the only time you want to have your file opened by the heavenly court on Rosh Hashanah? That you have no choice. Jews and non-Jews. Yeah, non-Jews don't know, but they're getting judged also in the heavenly court. Very good. The only time you want your file opened is on Rosh Hashanah. That's it. You never ever want your file open any other time. Because what's God going to do? If he has to open your file, he's going to go through it with a fine-tooth comb and see where you're holding. And if you're not holding in the right place, you're in serious trouble. When God scrutinizes that soul. There's another time this happens. In a very serious transgression. Is what we call iyun tefillah. What is iyun tefillah? It means like delving into prayer. But what does it mean? It means if a person prays, and after they pray, they say, I know God's going to answer my prayers because I prayed really well. I prayed with all my heart, with all my desire. God's going to answer my prayers. Say in the commentaries, this is a bad thing. We want God to answer our prayers. True. Whatever we need, whether it's livelihood, health, dealing with family, other things, whatever it is. We want our prayers answered. But for someone to say, they prayed so well, they absolutely prayed so well that God is going to answer their prayers. That's a problem. That is going to bring about God's ire, God's anger, because then God's going to open your file. Why is God going to open your file then? Because the person said, God's going to answer my prayers because of the way I prayed. I had so much intention, right? I had unbelievable intention when I prayed, so much fervor. My mind didn't wander. Everything's good. I know for sure God's going to answer my prayer. That's a problem. But then God comes along and says, okay, let's see. If he prayed really well, didn't get sidetracked, this and that, I'll answer his prayer. Let's say. But let's investigate. Because the person's making a bold statement. Because the person says, I know this is going to happen. Yeah. I've heard people say, it's kind of, I'd say kind of ludicrous, but I've heard people say that, when they prayed, I get my prayers answered. Now, why is that ludicrous? You don't know why your prayers are answered. What could happen is that a person, they can get their prayers answered for something, happened 2 weeks ago, a month ago. God said, okay, I'm going to answer your prayer now. But it's very rare where when a person prays, they get exactly what they want on the spot. It can happen. I'm not saying it can't happen. It for sure can happen. But I would ask the following question. What's the probability? What's the probability what you pray for right now happens? Probably not so high. I'm not saying it can't happen. In plenty of cases, it does happen. Yeah. Certain things turn around instantaneously. Yeah. Keep in mind, all the prayers, that went on during the book of Esther. Yeah, 3 days. They were fasting. They were praying. Then after that, fighting their enemies or whatever, it took time. Wasn't instantaneous. Wasn't overnight. Again, I'm not saying it can't happen. The probability is probably less, much less, that it happens. But people will say, I get my prayers answered. Okay. Right? That I don't necessarily have a problem with. But they don't get answered normally, on the spot. Sometimes, maybe. I'll be generous. Maybe. In the bigger scheme of things, it can take time. It can take days, it can take weeks, who knows? It can, it's dependent on a lot of different factors. See, we're not privy to what goes on in heaven. We're not privy to discussions between God and the heavenly court and how things get meted out in different things. We're not privy to that. But, it's easy to understand the other way. If a person gets punished for something, it's not necessarily you're punished for what you did today. It could be something a week ago, 2 days ago, a month ago. And then God, says, I don't have enough mercy anymore. I'm going to pay you back now. Yeah, it's easy to understand that way. Because payback is not instantaneous. If a person would sin and get punished straight away, you'd have no free will. You get zapped every single second, every time you did something wrong or a bad thought, boom. It doesn't work that way. God has mercy. God does not have infinite mercy. Right? Does not have infinite mercy. At some point, God says, I've had enough. You spit in my face enough times. I've had enough. When, after God, let's say, punishes the person, when does he let up? When a person got the message. And this comes up all the time, but I get beaten down all the time. Nothing seems to work. And what's the answer? Mentioned my Q&A last week. On Thursday, you can look it up. Right? What's the answer? The answer is you keep doing what you're doing. There's a good omen a person says every day. Pirke Avos, right? All these verses, about animals, etc. What's it a segula for? What's it an omen for? parnasa, livelihood. In the shidduch, meeting somebody, right? A marriage partner. Those are really the two prime things. The person say, but I keep saying it and things are getting worse. Yeah. And I haven't met my future partner yet. Okay. What was Kaufman's answer? Keep saying it. You don't give up. As we always say, where you think the salvation is going to come from, think again. It could come from the place you least expect it. That's normally the case. You got to put your best foot forward, right? It's close above us. Right? It says in duties in the heart. You got to put your best foot forward. You got to work hard. Very good. That's absolutely not a guarantee for success. Because there are other factors going on. See, this is what people don't understand. There are other factors going on that even though you could say the entire book of Tehillim every day, you could say Perek Shira, Parshas Aman, right, in the book of Exodus, but the giving of the manna every day is also good for livelihood. Very good. You do all these great things. You go to pray at the grave sites of righteous people. Doesn't mean it's idolatry. You don't pray to them, right? But in their merit, person should be successful in whatever they're doing, whatever they need, whatever salvation they need. Again, all these things are good. But is that a guarantee that's going to move God to change his mind, to not punish the person? Not a guarantee. I remember hearing a great rabbi speaking a number of years ago, right, on the Sabbath before Yom Kippur. We call Shabbos Shuvah, the Shabbos of repentance. It's usually a rabbi of synagogue gets up and speaks, about a number of things about repentance and whatever. So he said, people looking to do this, to do that, to do the other thing, to have a good judgment and all that. He said, I got a better idea. Yeah. What's my better idea? Repentance. Repent yourself. That's my better idea. People look for this, look for that, look for the other thing. Beautiful. But you're not doing the essence of what you need to do. That's the best thing. These other things don't hurt. They for sure don't hurt. But it's not the essence of what we're doing. It's not the essence of what we're doing. Person forgets that, right? So a person would say, come on, I'm doing this and I've changed on this and that. You're right. All these are good things. But there are other factors going on we don't know. Right? I'll give you an example. Give an example happening. We spoke about real estate before, right? So I'll give an example. Right? I think I mentioned the story before. And I'll mention it again. Right? And that is, I was involved in real estate a number of years ago. And before, this is before the market crashed in the States, 2008. So, I paid a lot of money for a certain, someone who had a mentorship program over 6 months. You know a way how to buy real estate without putting money down, not using your own money or your own credit, and whatever, different ways. So, different ways how to advertise, how to get people to, how to get clients, whatever. So I was doing pretty much same thing everyone else was. And other people are making deals, right? How do you get paid? Because you're a middleman between the buyer and the seller. You make the match between the buyer and seller, right? You find undervalued properties. You have buyers that are interested in buying them, right? That's how it works. Now, once a week or twice a week, there were calls. They were like coaching calls. So people would, call in and tell what they were doing, blah, blah, blah. And, I listened to the conversation and, the people calling in and doing this, they were making money. Now, some of them, didn't sound so bright. Okay. But they were making money. And this works, and this works in every market. Doesn't matter. Right? this system works in every market. Okay. So why wasn't it working? Before I veered off and started doing my own thing, but why in this case didn't it work? If you're doing your establish, you're putting your best foot forward. You're doing what other people are doing. And if this works anywhere, it should work by you also. Why are they making money? You're not. Right? What's the reason? So I called my Rebbe. I asked him, this is what's going on. Everyone else is making money. I'm not making any money. So he said there's got to be a block. There's got to be some sort of spiritual block according to him. So he gave me certain advice what to do. He says, take 3 people, 4 and based it. 3 Jews that keep Shabbos. Go in front of them and do a Taras Nadarim. Taras Nadarim you do right before Rosh Hashanah, where you annul any vows. But he said in most prayer books, they have a normal, they have a standard form of nullifying the vows. In certain prayer books, they have a few added things. And the few added things are that you say within the nullification of vows, the nullification of any klolos, any evil things maybe people have against you, or whatever, maybe there are curses. Sorry, curses. That's the word. Maybe there are curses against you. Yeah. So when you say this in front of 3 people, you get rid of them also. You get rid of the vows and the curses. My Rebbe does this every year when he goes through nullification of vows. He always says that. He always says the curses also. Because he'll claim probably a lot of people's cursed him, over the year. So get rid of those curses also, those negative things. Very good. So we said, go in front of 3 people, do this, and then, tell me over time what happened. So I said, doesn't matter if I do it during the day, doesn't matter if I do it at night. He says, no, just do it and get back to me. So, it was late in the afternoon, so I went to pray the evening service a little bit later. I took 3 people and I said, listen, this is what my Rebbe told me to do. This is what I need to do, and I'm not telling you why. I'll tell you why after the fact, but I'm not going to tell you now. But this is what I have to do. This is what he told me to do. It takes like 5 minutes. It's not any length of time to do. But fine, they agreed. They, answered what they had to answer. Get rid of the curses, whatever. Finish. Now, a short time thereafter, right? It wasn't instantaneous, but I would tell you, like within a week and a half, all of a sudden, certain advertising things started to kick in. All of a sudden, I started, wheeling and dealing. I didn't, close the deal straight away, but all of a sudden, it was like floodgates open. So I asked him. I called him back a few weeks later, and he said, knew what happened. And I said, I'm getting clients. Told him I hadn't closed the deal yet, but I'm close to a number of things, and eventually certain things closed. Right? That's the only way you get paid. Right? If they close, it's kind of nerve-wracking in real estate, but that's what it is. That's why you have to have so many things going on at once. At least one of them should close. You should be able to make some money. Good. So I asked him the following question. I asked him, how did you know? How did you know this is something that's going to work? He didn't say you got to repent, you got to do this, you got to do other things, take a calculation of your life. What have you been doing? He didn't say any of that. He told me like this. He said, if you put your best foot forward, like the Chovos HaLevavos says, in duties of the heart, if you put your best foot forward, and in this case, when it comes to, let's say, business, you put your best foot forward, and other people are doing the same thing, and you're not making money like they are, it doesn't mean exponentially, but you're not closing deals like they are, then there's something wrong. There's something wrong. going on upstairs in heaven. So again, if you do the same exact thing, you speak to the people the way you're supposed to speak to them. You got a certain script. The script should work in any market. There's no reason why it shouldn't work over here. The Rebbe said, yeah, you put your best foot forward. He said, are you doing everything you're supposed to do? I said, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm following every script. How to put up signs, where to put them, different things. Again, this is before I veered off and did things on my own. Yeah, I followed the script. Now, if you follow the script and other people are successful, and you're not, there's something wrong. Now, if you go back, you scrutinize every detail, and you realize you're doing exactly what everyone else is doing, as my Rebbe said, there's something going on spiritually. Yeah, God's not allowing you to be successful. Why? Now, it could be anything we've done. Could be because of that. Could be something done years ago. Who knows what? But see, things offset, which people don't understand. But not only don't they understand that, they'll say, but I've been doing this, I've been doing that, I've been doing the other thing. Okay. Is that a guarantee things are going to change? No, not a guarantee. I say it's not a guarantee because there are other factors involved. But I would also say, when a person's feeling like a piece of dirt, nothing's going and, they're getting crushed left and right, the question I would ask is, okay, where were you holding before all this happened? And where are you holding now? So you don't understand, my emunah, my faith and belief in God is skyrocketed. Skyrocketed. Yeah, I'm more careful of certain things I was never careful about, or I was less careful about. And for sure, I'm not the same person as I was 2 weeks ago, a month ago. Now, isn't that a benefit? That's a huge benefit. It's an absolutely huge benefit. So you can't say, wow, I'm getting tossed around like a rag doll. Nothing, nothing has worked. It's all bad. I didn't gain anything. Not true. That is not true. You're a totally different person now. Because you're getting squeezed like the bottom of the toothpaste. And your faith is much stronger. And you realize he's the one in charge. And no matter what I do, it really doesn't matter. Because if God wants to bless it, he will. If he doesn't want to bless it, he won't. But I still have to put my best foot forward. Right? That's what we have to do. Again, there's no magic formula here. Sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's worse. Sometimes maybe it's really bad. Sometimes the person's like on their knees, I don't know what to do, and this and that, and then God just opens doors you didn't expect. It happens. For sure happens. Right? It's happened to a lot of people, not just me. But it happens. It's just hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel when everything looks black. It's very hard to see that. And it's all about perspective. So remember, when I had all my money stolen, the bottom line, was that okay. Someone had said, if you're at the bottom, the only way you can go is up. Well, very good. That's kind of hard to take, but it was true. But at no stage, it didn't look pretty. There were a number of times, a lot of times, it didn't look pretty. But there was never a lack of food. Had a roof over my head, even if it didn't belong to me. Wasn't living on the streets. Again, I'm not saying it was pretty. Wasn't pretty by any stretch. In a lot of ways. But see, we lose sight of that. We just think we're getting beaten down. And you lose sight of what you really have. Right? And this is looking at the cup, whether it's half full or half empty. We mentioned this many times. So over here, what happens? Back to our case over here. Person builds an extension. The other guy feels bad. So heaven's now going to investigate, why does the other person feel bad? Is there any merit to their claim? If there's no merit to their claim, very good. Person gets off without a scratch. If there's merit to the person's claim, then the person building Ruvain over here is in trouble. Could be in serious trouble. Why? Because Ruvain, not necessarily intentionally, he wasn't doing it to be flamboyant. He wasn't doing it to show off money. He needed the space, okay. But even though he needed the space, what happens? He made someone feel bad in the process. Now, in general, that's all they have to worry about? I would say you don't have to worry about it. In general. Because if someone feels, if someone's jealous, for whatever reason, it's not your problem. You're building 100% for the sake of heaven. You need the space. You're not looking to throw it in anybody's face. You're not doing anything fancy, right? You're not causing people distress. That's not your intention. Oh, but inadvertently, someone gets upset. Someone got upset over here. Okay. That you had no intention for that. Very good. But now your file has to be open. The reason is because now you made someone feel bad. When you make somebody feel bad, that goes all the way up to God's heavenly throne. And woe to the person that does that to a widow, an orphan, or a convert. See, when that happens, the Torah says explicitly, God himself is going to fight against you. Nothing's going to use someone else or whatever. Here's the evidence. No. You go against someone that can't defend themselves. A widow doesn't have a husband, right, to help. Convert doesn't have anyone to help them. Family doesn't want to help them. The Jewish community doesn't want to help them. In many ways. So they're alone. So, and orphans, they don't have parents. They don't have parents to help them. So you do it, you cause them damage in some way. And that gets upstairs. God himself fights against the person, Torah says. You want to fight against someone, flesh and blood, okay. You got a chance. You got a chance over here. You're going to fight against God himself, you're toast. God will toast you. Right? There's no salvation from such a thing. Doesn't mean you're going to die. The punishment could be absolutely severe. Absolutely severe. Now, think about this case. You inadvertently made someone feel bad. Now the heavenly court's going to investigate you. Comes along the heavenly court and says, yeah, you're not so glad yourself. You're not so clean yourself. There's gonna be what to pay for. We're going to say, didn't have intention. You never had intention over here. He wasn't intention hurting anyone's feelings. He needed the space, okay. But someone inadvertently got hurt. And God said, you know what? The person got hurt. It's your fault. You caused the pain even inadvertently. Cause pain. You cause pain to someone else. That God's going to open up your own fire. So you got to say, what, I got to be careful, type of car I drive. I have to be careful if I go on vacation. 100%. You have to be careful. But what does the Mishna here say? The Mishna here says it takes you out of this world. Now, what does taking you out of this world mean? It's not just causing damage. That could be. That very well could be. It could be cause serious damage. Okay. It also could mean that you did something where God says, okay, this is going to take up a lot of merit over here. It could be it wipes out a person's merit and God says, okay, I'm going to take them for this reason. Remember, the Gemara says 99% of people die because of the evil eye. Now, there is one caveat. Some would say, if you don't believe in it, it doesn't affect you the same. So there are people that'll say that. They'll say, well, as long as you don't believe in it. Okay. I remember once I told somebody that, my Rebbe is very big in this, about the evil eye. And he's very, very cautious in a lot of things. So someone's like, yeah, the evil eye, this, that, like people don't hold of it, blah, blah, blah. And he started like to make fun a little bit. I was telling someone this story last night, actually. He was coming back from synagogue. So I told him, I said, okay, just out of curiosity, there are 12 signs according to Kabbalah, according to Jewish mysticism, if a person has an evil eye. I said, can you name me one of them? Name me one sign, what it means to have an evil eye. One. I'm not asking for 12. One. That was the end of the conversation. Yeah. Oh, I don't hold by it. A lot of people don't hold by it, so it doesn't affect. Okay. There's such an opinion. Very good. But you say poo-poo, doesn't this, doesn't that. Can you name me one? Can you name me one sign? Yeah. Maybe his daughter once told me he was at the Western Wall, he was at the Kotel once. Someone looked at him a certain way and he felt 100%, he felt like he had the evil eye. Now you can take it away. People know what they're doing. They take lead, take lead, put it in a cauldron and, turn it around, whatever, spill it on something. And, if eyes come out, that means you have an evil eye. There are people that know how to take care of this. But, again, some people listen to this and say, come on, it's hocus pocus, abracadabra, this, that, doesn't mean anything. There are a lot of very big people holding this. Even if there are plenty of people that say, I don't believe in it, so it doesn't affect me, blah, blah, blah. Okay. But the Gemara says 99% of the people die because of it. So it's not a small thing. If you told me 60% die from it, it's a pretty serious thing. 99%? So you're going to say, well, I shouldn't walk outside. I shouldn't do that. Got to be careful everything we do. 100%. Right? Not only that, they'll just make it a little more interesting. See a bunch of questions here. We'll deal with them in a second. Right? What happens if you move places? Right? There's a Talmudic dictum. Shinui makom, shinui mazel. You change your place. You change your heavenly influence. In other words, you go from one place to another. What happened in one place, right? You start fresh. You start like nothing ever happened in the other place. Yeah, such a concept. So that's my Rebbe wants this question. Because I had an evil eye many years ago. Almost killed me. But the question was, can an evil eye, someone has evil eye against you, someone's jealous of you, whatever it is, and you move to a different community, you move somewhere else. It doesn't matter where, right? Different neighborhood, different state, different country, whatever, doesn't matter. Can that evil eye, can that jealousy follow you from place to place? That's what I asked. He said, yeah. Doesn't mean just in the place where you are. You could be somewhere else. You're going to move twice and it still follows you. But it got so powerful that, potentially it could kill you. I had a number of things happen to me above nature. One of them was losing all my money, but, a few other things. I want to see my Rebbe about it. And I asked him, I said, well, do you think I have an evil eye? He's like, I don't think. He says, I know. Scare the wits out of my wife. Yeah. So, he told me someone to call, take care of it, gave them my name, whatever. A few hours later, or the next day, I get the phone call and I'm like, this person says, I don't want to know what's going on in your life, but what I see over here is you're lucky to be in this world. You shouldn't be in this world. So I said, well, very good. I said, you take care of it, get rid of it. So whatever, thank God they got rid of it. But like, if certain things happen, in a bad way, then you cannot attribute it to natural causes. Yeah. Something like out there, way out there. This could be their cause. I'm not saying it is 100%. I'm saying, certain things happen above nature. That shouldn't happen according to logic. Yeah. Now you can say, come on, it's reward and punishment. You don't know. Maybe something the person did months ago, this, that. We just said that, right? Right? So when you get hit in the pocket, it's punishment. You're right. Right? But, in my case, use myself as an example. So I had money by somebody. That was all my money. And other people had money by them also. My father did business with 25 years. Made money, lost money, whatever. Secular Jew. Right? So he wasn't a crook or a thief. No one, wouldn't have thought. Anyway, used the money for something else and wasn't allowed to take it out, took it out, and all the money went. And all the money went. Now, could be, he thought, I'll just use the money, recoup it, and then put it back. Maybe. Didn't have outright wanted to steal it, I don't think. I think it's pretty cocky that he could return it, whatever. But anyway, didn't happen. Didn't happen. Now, this is someone you're making money from. And different things. You wouldn't expect something like that to happen. That's not normal. So someone could say, well, you should take it out. You should have done this. You should have done that. Yeah, should have done a lot of things. No one told me to do it. I was getting money. I didn't have a problem getting money out. It happened. Okay. Whatever reason. But that's not normal. That shouldn't happen. That should not happen. So something that occurs like that, that's kind of above nature, and other things happen along with it. So yeah, you might think there are other things going on. So I went to see him and said, like, what's going on here? Is there anything else I should know about? Yeah. Yeah, because that's a pretty serious payback. There are 4 things that a person consider like a dead person. They're blind, mitzoira, what do you call it? Someone who gets leprosy, speaking Lashon Hara. I mean, leprosy is not the right word, but whatever tsaras is, being poor, right? One of them is being poor. So being poor is akin to being dead. I'm not saying physically. When a person doesn't have anything, it's like they feel like they're nothing in the world. 100%. Yeah. Poverty and well, this is going to be on Monday. It's going to come on Monday when I did this podcast. But basically, I was speaking about suffering and whatever for this podcast, and basically spoke about the fact that wealth, probably speak about more of it this week, and that wealth and poverty are both tests. Wealth is a test. Are you going to be hard? Are you going to help others? Are you going to be stingy? Yeah, it's a test. People say, I wish I had that test. Okay, but it's a test. Poverty is also a test. Poverty is a test. You have very little. Are you going to thank God for the little that you have? Both are tests. Like I say, you've had both tests. Okay. Nonetheless, you gain from both of them. See, someone who doesn't have, and you're feeling squeezed all the time, you've gone through it for a long time. So the question is, are you happy with what you have? You're putting your best foot forward. This is what you're given. Yeah. I know people that, told me over time, they're going to be poor, they're going to stay poor. Just the way it is. Yeah, and some people, that's what they struggled with their whole life. Sometimes they're a little bit better, sometimes not, whatever, but that's where the test they have had. Other people have had both. So when all this happened, my Rebbe said, Gemara and Baruch says not everyone inherits both worlds. Right? In other words, if you have money, doesn't mean you're going to be a rabbinic scholar. Usually, Torah and money don't mix. Usually. You don't think big rabbinic scholars have a lot of money. You just don't, because, money corrupts. It just does. So you don't normally see both. And then the more you're in that world, the less you're learning. So it's very rare. Very, very rare. So I told him tongue in cheek, I said, you comforting me or you making fun of me? Right? That was his comfort. He said, listen, not everyone has that ability to have both worlds. I remember that year I went to Purim, and I learned up a storm, for like 6 months, 5 months, 6 months. I told him, I said, listen, if I can't have that blessing, I'm going to struggle with money. Okay, I want the blessing of Torah. I want the crown of Torah. That's what I told him on Purim. I said, you give me the crown of Torah if I can't have that. You don't normally get both. But even if you don't have that other side, obviously, you want to make ends meet. You don't want to struggle, and all that. You don't want it to be so hard. Okay? So, but things don't last forever. Bottom line, you got to put your best foot forward. But remember, right? Now I'll take questions. Remember that these things can literally remove a person from this world. It can literally kill you. So it's something that a person should be cognizant of. I don't want to speak more in detail, but a person's obviously going to say, but if you don't believe in it, you just said if you don't believe in it, it doesn't affect you. Okay. I would still be cognizant of it and be careful. I'm not saying, you have to drive a beat up car till it runs into the ground. Right? But you got to be careful what you do. Person buys a nicer car. Okay. It's going to run better, last longer, very good. Yeah. Can't someone be jealous if you buy a nicer car? Yeah, it could be. But if your intention is, listen, I need a better car because this one's just about to fall apart, and that's it. Okay. Like, what are you gonna do? I got a fridge on the blink now. Some sort of leak, I don't know. So someone last week put in more gas, and he said usually the first time it can last a couple of years, and then after that you see whatever. That's okay. It's better, the fridge not so old, right? But see where it goes. Okay. So for a number of days it was good. I just noticed over Shabbos, problem my freezer now. Well, my fridge is cold and my freezer isn't. And before that both weren't working. So I don't know. I'm gonna pray for my fridge over here. But say, that's punishment. That's wear and tear. So I'm a wear and tear. Yeah, fridges don't last as long as they used to. Okay. Right? And see where the leak was. Could be a slow leak, whatever. I don't know. Whatever it is. Right? It's not like an older fridge that's, better shape than this. Once had a problem with this also, but it was just a problem with the thermostat. So okay. Right? That's normal wear and tear. So that's a loss supposed to take at some point. Okay. Right? So gonna have to look into that. But so if I have to get a new fridge, I'm gonna buy a second-hand fridge unless someone's giving away a fridge or whatever. Right? But or whatever, maybe I'll look for that. Who knows? But in general, they're gonna make someone jealous. I don't think it's gonna make someone jealous. Yeah, need another fridge. Just need another fridge. If that's gonna be the case, right? See how it plays out, right? But if I decided, okay, I'm gonna buy the super deluxe. Super deluxe fridge and ice maker and this and that, go all out, have it delivered and people see it or whatever, that might be an issue. That might be, oh, look, you got a new fridge, got a new fridge, must be doing so well, blah, blah, blah. That I could hear. But if you need a new fridge, not gonna buy a second-hand fridge, you want to take any chances, buy a new fridge. Okay, so you need a new fridge. Is that going to make someone jealous? Maybe it would, right? Maybe it would, but if your intention is pure, the only reason you're buying it is because you need it, that's not something I wouldn't necessarily worry about. But again, I'm not saying don't buy a fridge. I'm not saying you have an obligation to buy a secondhand fridge. You don't. But if a person's really tight for money, that's what they have to do. That's what they have to do. All right, let me see if there are questions over here. Someone asks, I know it happens above nature. I've died 3 times instead of 1,000,000 times. All right. Is that the curse of an evil eye? I don't know if it's an evil eye. Person could warrant that warrant to die for any number of reasons, right? Doesn't necessarily mean it's a it's an evil eye, right? But if you're saying certain things happen above nature, right? Let's look into more if how it affects a non-Jew, if it does affect a non-Jew, right? The Gemara says 99% die, so it could be he's talking about Jews, not necessarily non-Jews. But that I have to look into. That I have to look into further. How do you get rid of it? So curses can be done, as I said before, by nullification of vows, right? Inside nullification of vows in certain prayer books, it talks about curses, right? Getting rid of curses. So that you could do. If a person had or thought they had an INR, so then you got to go to someone who's an expert in doing that and take it off, right? But again, I don't know if that applies. I don't know if it applies to non-Jews. Someone here mentions read psychology and neuroscience type things that poverty and wealth are learned behavior. That's the only part of the equation. It's only part of the equation. Listen, people can make bad decisions. Bad decisions can cause a person to struggle. Financial, bad investments, sporadic things. Yeah, that can cause problems. They can cause their own problems, not just because they're tested by it. Maybe they did to themselves. And if they did to themselves, it's worse. Right? So you're right. Maybe it's part of the equation, not the whole equation. In general, both things are a test. If you bring it upon yourself, okay. Yeah. If you didn't bring it upon yourself, and things happen, okay. So now, question is how you deal with it. How you look at it, but for sure it's a test, no question. No question whether you do it to yourself or not. Somebody asks, what happened at the end of the cosmic Shabbos, 7th millennium, where the world state is now? No, it's brought down that the world will what will happen? The world will be destroyed. The world absolutely will be destroyed. So what's going to happen at that point? So it seems, at least from what the Gemara says, we'll be flapping around, so to speak. I guess with wings or whatever for like 1,000 years, right? And then you get to, then you get the final judgment of what I would call resurrection of the dead, right? You get resurrection of the dead afterwards, right? There are different stages. Messiah comes, right? The Messiah comes. Whoever survives, right? Remember, people are going to be buried for 8 months, so a third of the world gets destroyed, a third of the world survives. And then you have a third that's sort of in limbo. So whoever survives at that point, then there's the question, what do we call Olam Haba? Does Olam Haba meaning the next world, does it start before the end of the 6,000th year? And then continues after? And then it continues after the world's destroyed, and then you're gonna have resurrection of the dead, right? You're gonna have that great day, the prophet says, where people, if they deserve it, are gonna get resurrected, right? That will probably happen. Again, difference of opinion, what's going on here, but that will happen Seemingly that'll happen later. Right? It'll happen after the 7,000th year. Resurrection will happen. So essentially, it'll come in a later stage. Right? You have to have the Messiah come. Then there's the question, what happens next? Do we get the world destroyed? And then you have Olam Haba with resurrection of the dead at the same time or not? It's a whole big question. It's a whole big question. But essentially, after the Messiah comes, resurrection's later. Resurrection is later. Someone says, I think everyone goes to heaven after that. Who says? Right? The beginning of every chapter of Pirke Avos says every Jew has a portion of the world to come. Yeah. So someone once told me, a secular Jew once said, well, your portion will just be bigger than mine. Right? And my question was, who says you're going to get there? Because the Gemara on that says different people in different groups who lost their portion of the world to come. I don't think people are that inherently evil that they should. There are some people that are. Okay. But I don't think most people are that inherently evil. So therefore, they get judged in hell. They'll get purified, right? Their soul will get fixed up. And they should have a portion of the world to come. Depends what they did. They desecrated Shabbos. They didn't care. They have status of a non-Jew. They're in trouble. They intermarried. They're in trouble, right? If there's no if they don't repent. Now, ignorance isn't bliss over here. King David himself says in the book of Psalms, time to love, time to hate. Right? Oh, sorry, Ecclesiastes. King Solomon says that. King David says, I love those that love you. I fight against those that hate you. God doesn't love everybody. Don't make that mistake. He wants sinners to repent. If they don't repent, they're in trouble. Now, does that mean he's going to obliterate them? Not necessarily. Depends how bad they are. I don't think people are, so bad that he's going to obliterate them. Some he will. Right? Go back to my class on suffering, how that works. If a person's really that bad, they don't have enough merit, right? And even going to hell and fixing up their soul won't help, right? So, but who says everyone gets a portion? Who says everyone goes to heaven? Big misnomer. Non-Jews, they keep the Noahide laws, they keep what they're supposed to do. They properly repent anything they've done wrong. They'll have a portion of the world to come. Okay. Yeah? What about all those Christians that don't repent? All those Buddhists? All those Hindus? Goes against the 7 Noahide laws. What's the punishment for that? Death penalty. If a Christian, a Buddhist, a Hindu, which is most of the known world today, yeah, if they don't repent, how do they have a portion of the world to come? Why should they have a portion of the world to come? They go against the 7 Noahide, they go against the Noahide laws. Especially one of them that has to do with death penalty. Not all the Noahide laws of transgress is death penalty. Idolatry is death penalty. So you think God loves people that do idolatry? I mean, it says all over the Torah, don't do idolatry. And if a non-Jew does it, death penalty. So how can you tell me that everyone's going to have a portion of the world to come? Yeah? Very hard to say that. Right? If they, let's say, the ones that merit to have a portion of the world to come, they should get up a resurrection of the dead. I would think that'd be good enough, not knowing anything, that if they make it to Olam Haba, they make it to the next world, to the spiritual world, then resurrection, they should get up. But if they don't make it to Olam Haba, they ain't getting up a resurrection. And if they're liable for death penalty of idolatry, yeah, so most of the known world as we know it, they're not getting up at the resurrection of the dead. Right? So that's a big misnomer. Right? If they get fixed up and they repented and this and that, there's something left of them to have a portion of the world to come. Good. I don't have a problem with that. If not, they're not going to get there. They won't get there. What is the right order of the Torah? Studying Pardes or Seder? So people start with Pshat or with Sod. How can you start? First of all, Pardes means Pshat, Pshat, Remez, Sod, and Drash. Pshat means simple explanation. Remez means hints. Midrashim, what's a hints? Hints in the Torah. Dalet is Drash, right? Homiletic interpretation, Midrashim. And the Samech for Sod is Kabbalah. How can you start with Kabbalah first? You want to know what the order is. Kabbalah is absolutely last. People don't know the alphabet, they're not studying Kabbalah, right? You can't run till you learn how to walk or crawl. You can't study higher mathematics if you don't know calculus or algebra. So you want to tell me people don't know the alphabet, like, Madonna or Esther, whatever she calls herself? She doesn't know nothing from nothing. You think she's studying Kabbalah? I don't think she's studying Kabbalah. She doesn't even know the alphabet. She probably can't even read Hebrew. Yeah. So if she would have come to me and say, which is probably not, but if she would come to me and say, what should I learn first? Simple explanation. You're not holding anywhere in the world. You got to learn a heck of a lot. I spoke about this last week. Yeah. Why you have to learn Kabbalah at the age of 40? Not everyone's ready for Kabbalah. You have to be on a certain spiritual level to be able to do it. Why would you think that's first? That's never going to be first. For people who know nothing, that's never going to be first. There are people that, they're more into it. It's more esoteric, this and that. Okay. You got to be really deep into Torah before that, right? So where would you start? Simple explanation. That's where you start. That's where you start. People like to learn Midrashim. Okay, I don't have a problem with that. That's not Kabbalah, right? More homiletic interpretation. Okay. I don't say I have a problem with that. Right? That doesn't bother me. You want to tell me you're going to start with the hardest thing first? No. Never. The Christian Muslims have a share in the world to come. I just answered that. Christians won't because they're of the Avodah Zarah. Right? They are idol worshippers. To do idolatry goes against the no idol laws. That's forbidden. Now, Muslims are a little bit different. Muslims believe in one God. There is an opinion. It's a minority opinion, maybe a strong minority opinion, but it's a minority opinion that it's idolatry. Yeah. So even if someone tells me, no, a lot of people believe in it, okay, doesn't really matter. We hold it's not idolatry. Now, even if they're closer to Noahites than Christians or anyone else, even if I would agree to that and they believe in the same God, very good. There's one problem. There's one problem. There are certain things in there that are pagan, right? Which would make it problematic. But there's another problem. Because the Rambam says you can't go against prophecy of Moses. You cannot make up a new religion. That includes anybody. That includes Christians. That includes Muslims. Includes Buddhists, Zoroastrians. I don't know. There are like 80,000 different religions. All these religions are made up religions. Says the Rambam, if you get around other problems, that no paganism, no idolatry, whatever, you don't get around this problem. This problem you don't get around. It's called Chidushei Das. You're making up a new religion. You cannot make up a new religion. The Muslims, Buddhists, everybody else, well, Buddhists are more problematic because of idolatry. But Muslims wouldn't have a portion of the world to come unless they repent. Because it's a made-up religion. Yeah, it's a false religion. So any false religion, their followers will not have a portion of the world to come. Someone asks, 1 second, let me see. Someone says, Madonna wasn't learning Kabbalah, she was learning witchcraft. I don't know. She claimed she was learning Kabbalah, but whatever it was. Kind of witchcraft has a lot of similar imagery and wording in some Kabbalistic teachings. All right. I mean, seem to make it clear that, it's Kabbalah, but all right, whatever, whatever it was. Whatever she's learning, what does she know anyway? Wouldn't take what she says seriously anyway, just about anything. So, music she knows, okay? So, she knows music. So she knows music, very good. Okay, I'm not going to argue with music, I'm not a music expert. Yeah, those type of things, she learns about it, this, that, okay. Sorcery, witchcraft, not hard to learn. Really not so hard to learn. Right, certain incantations, different things, not so hard. Kabbalah, yeah, that's different. That's why I find it ironic that, a lot of non-Jews, what's one of the first things they learn? Is they get involved with Chabad, they learn Tanya. Tanya, very hard book to learn. Full of, it's advanced Hasidus with Kabbalah together. Wouldn't be the first book I would recommend to people. Yeah. Tell people to learn duties of the heart, path of the just, the way of God by the Ramchal, the ways of the righteous. Okay. Plenty of other books to learn. I wouldn't start with Tanya. Not saying it's a bad book, but that's not what I would start with. I don't know Chabad's big of that. They want everyone to learn Tanya. Okay, right? It's a very deep book. Even if they water it down, again, I don't think most people are ready for it. You need a lot of background for that also. Someone mentioned the Arab brother mixed multitude are very good at poisoning people's views of Jews that way. Okay. Yeah. Remember the Gaon, or the Vilna Gaon, Rabbi Elijah Vilna, blessed memory, says in Evan Shlema, he says that in order for the Messiah to come, the Arab brother has to be destroyed. You gotta get rid of the Arab brother. Right? The mixed multitude. Who are the mixed multitude? So it goes in the whole definition of who they are. Yeah. Most secular Jews in charge of any, Jewish organization. Certainly people in the Israeli government, etc. Part of this group. They have to be destroyed. Right? They have to be destroyed before the Messiah comes. See? Well, see, they do cause a lot of problems. Right? Someone mentioned last week, which I think is very true, in that, there's a lot of peer pressure out there. Just, by the media in general, what they want to convince you of, but, people are kind of, I would say, gullible in the sense where anything they see that's printed or written has validity. So there's what to be said for that. I mean, but you have to be able to read between the lines, see exactly what they're saying. But people give it a lot more authority. Because people say, see, I saw it written. Told somebody something once, many years ago. Of course, they're not going to listen to me. What do I know? So they saw something, similar thing, in a newspaper, right? People still read newspapers, whatever. They saw it in the newspaper. Very good. So they started telling me about this. I said, I told you this 2 weeks ago. No, but I saw it written. They said, I saw it written down. Good. Saw it written down. There are a lot of things written down that are perpetuated over time, and people keep believing the same stupid lies because it's out there. Idea of a Palestinian state, the idea that we're committing genocide, right, in Gaza. We're not going to go into politics. Same statistic keeps coming up: 40,000 men, women and children. It's a whole lie. The whole thing is a lie. They keep perpetuating the same lie over and over and over again. That's what they do. They lie, but people get sucked into it. Once you hear it over and over and over, you see it written over and over and over, it makes an impression. True. It's very true. So yeah, they're very good at poisoning the way we think. The whole media is like that. The whole cynical media, what they want us to believe. And what's the most important thing they're ramming down our throats today? But LGBTQ. That's what they're ramming down our throats. That's normal. You can't say anything against them. And if you do, you go to jail or you get fired from your job or whatever. That's the norm. So they're educating 6, 7, 8-year-olds, you're in the wrong body. Maybe you're in the wrong body. Maybe. But that's education. What we do is brainwashing. That's education. Really? Peer pressure is huge. What they hear is huge. They keep hearing it over and over again. This is the norm. This is the norm. This is the norm. And who said you're in the right body? I mean, it got to the point, where now you have to bring out lawyers for definitions of these things, right? Now you have men that are really, women that are really men, yeah, and they're competing against women. We saw it in the Olympics. It's insanity. You say, come on, too much testosterone, or whatever the strict definition is. What a man is, what a woman is. But don't you see, men and women are created differently? And you got men dressed up as women breaking all kinds of records of different things. Makes sense. Makes perfectly sense. Yeah. So if you're a man, I don't care how you dress, you compete against men. This is how sports work. You don't, no intramurals over here. No intramurals. That, being a sports fan back in the day, this is insanity. Insanity. The case came up. People were talking about Bruce Jenner, I guess, Kendall Jenner, whatever, right? Bruce Jenner, he's still a guy, but and won the triathlon, the Olympics, 1976. I think it was 1976. So they had a question. He was a guy, and he won the Olympics. He won the triathlon, very good. So I think that's what it was. Yeah. So that being the case, maybe we should have taken away his medal. Maybe we should take him off the box of Wheaties because now he's a woman. Let's say, he's a woman now. Okay. When he competed, was he a man or a woman? He was a man. No one disagreed. He was a man. You want to tell me after the fact, 20 years later, 30 years later, whatever it was, not much longer, let's say 24, 50 years later. Yeah. 50 years later, you want to tell me now you're going to retract his medals because now he's a woman? That's even more insane. When he won the medal, he was a guy. Okay. Fact is a woman now, what difference does it make? He won as a guy. He wasn't, masquerading as a woman. If it was masquerading, as a woman and he did it, that's a different issue. Competing against women, that's a different issue. He's a guy. Yeah, I don't care what it does to his body. He's a guy. If he's a guy, finish. Right? So what you saw in the Olympics was an aberration. Was a total aberration. I mean, why does that dawn on people? Some people get it. Okay. You want to go that far? To prove he's a man, he's a woman, this, that. Okay. Want to say genetically. How are you going to prove it genetically? But the person is bona fide man. Bona fide, and competing against women, it's unfair advantage. Very simple. And within Jewish law, it doesn't matter what they do, their status is who they were before. If they were a guy, they did certain things, they're still a guy. Doesn't matter. That's who they are. I guess the more complicated questions, but essentially it doesn't change. Right? But again, that's education. That's trying to retrain people the way to think. That's not brainwashing. The whole agenda there. I mean, why do they have to go out of their ways, all these parades and different things? Do you ever see that by anybody in history? Never. Never. You ever see pedophiles marching? Proud of what they do? You ever see, rapists? You ever see adulterers? Thieves? You ever see any of these people, who did terrible things? You see them parading and, basking in the glory of what they do? You never saw that. Do you think they'd be a little bit embarrassed? I think they'd be embarrassed, some level of embarrassment. They embezzled. All the embezzlers gonna have a march today. Fraudsters. Juvenile delinquents who, didn't finish high school. We're gonna brag about that. We're gonna go march about that. Really? You want to do it? Okay, it's your choice. Goes against everything the Torah says, but okay, it's your choice. If you want to masquerade it, get everyone to say it's a good thing and whatever, ram it down everyone's throat. Why is that not a problem? Why is that not brainwashing society? And it's very strong, a very strong group. Can't come out against them, can't say anything against them, get in trouble with your job, with other things. It's a big problem. You can disagree, but come on. Why is that normal though? Are these places in the world any different than Sodom? They're not any different. Not any different. There's a medrash, he's talk about 4 ways to interpret Torah, to learn Torah. There's a medrash that says, I think it's Gemara also, that says that if any country legalizes same-sex marriage, that country ain't lo kiyum. What does ain't lo kiyum mean? Ain't lo kiyum means they will not be established, they will not be around. Meaning they will get destroyed. Destroyed. That was one of the last things Obama did. Made it legal. For the Supreme Court. Big problem. America's got a lot of problems. They have a big problem. You want to convince everyone that's the norm? It's not the norm. Not according to what we believe, not according to the Torah, it's not the norm. They want to ram it down your throat and say that's the norm, but why is that not brainwashed? Why isn't that so much pressure from the media? So we believe it's wrong because the Torah says it's wrong. You say it's not natural, whatever. Oh, people have crazy desires. It's not a natural desire. I was just telling someone earlier. It wasn't today, it was yesterday or a few days ago, that most people in this situation, they wish they were normal. And they wish they were straight. But they're not. And they have this desire. Okay. They have this desire. But they really wish they were like everybody else. That's the reality. Yeah, let me see other questions here. Yeah, somebody asks, can I speak about, you're on the right track in terms, let's say, kavod habrius. Okay. Honoring people, right? We'll speak about that. Respect for others, let's say, kavod habrius can mean a number of things, right? One is, like dealing with a dead person, right? You have to have proper respect, different things. So like, certain things you're obligated to do. You have, walking around properly clothed. Yeah. Or, other things come under this category, but respect for others, like kind speech, respect during boundaries. It's a big topic. I would say that Victor Miller, blessed memory, one of the Torah giants of the last generation, Victor Miller would say, he sees this guy in synagogue, not really praying so much, walks around, he's like, whatever, we'll call him a nudnik, walks around, speaks when he should be praying, different things, like it's annoying. So Victor Miller says, how can I love that person? Yeah. How can I love that person? He says you got to look for the good. You got to say if the person bothers other people, does other things, very good or very bad. How can I see the good in them? How's it possible? Right? What's the answer? Right? What's the answer? The answer is what Victor Miller said, find something positive about the person. You're going to say, if the person bugs me to no end, the person does all kinds of things. How in the world can I say something good about it? So Victor Miller said, come to synagogue 3 times a day. You can't say he doesn't pray there, doesn't do this, doesn't. Okay, a lot of things. Okay. Or can't you find something positive? Person comes. You cannot come to synagogue. Instead, you try and find something positive and harp on the positive. But sometimes, for other people, it's hard to find the positive. Some people are pretty bad in many ways. So sometimes it's hard to find the positive. Right? But we should always try and find the positive in people. Right? We should always try and greet someone with a happy face, even if we're in a bad mood, even if things are hard. Sometimes it's not so easy. But this is a common thing. This is a common thing, as well. And that is that, we want to see the best in people. But we get annoyed. I'm not saying minor things. Yeah. I'm not saying minor. Sometimes minor things, they annoy us also. Everyone knows. If you don't know, you find out now. One of my personal pet peeves is hygiene. Personal hygiene. Bugs me. Yeah. So, some things, you can find the positive. I'm not saying you can't find the positive. Sometimes it's hard. But, you bring up another question, which, again, is a much bigger topic. Right? And that would be, you're friends with someone, whatever. How do you stay on an even path without crossing boundaries? right? Let's say you know certain things, you heard certain things, and let's say illness. Let's say you found out through the grapevine, you didn't hear from the person themselves. They have a serious illness. Should you go up to them and ask them how they're doing? They might say, well, they'll say, how do you know? How'd you find out? Who told you? So a person has to be careful. If someone's already spoken about it, this and that, it's okay. So you're not intruding, per se. You gotta be careful, but you're not intruding. If it's really not so known and you find out, that's intruding. And if someone doesn't speak about it, who says you should bring it up? Right? That's a problem. That would be a problem. So again, it would depend on, on a specific, specific type of thing. But there are people that, you got to give them space. Because if you don't, sometimes even, let's say a family member, you see a family member doing negative things. So you say, well, I got to rebuke them, got to try and stop them, this and that. Okay. Sometimes, third Rabbi Dr. Tversky of blessed memory, right, a big time psychologist would say, sometimes, and it's painful to see, sometimes you have to see a person hit rock bottom. The only time a person can ask for help is when they hit rock bottom. Now, does it have to be that way? No. Doesn't have to be that way. Sometimes, though, when a person loses everything or starts to lose everything that's dear to them, then they go for help. Sometimes it's already too late, but, person has to hit a certain point before they can ask for help. Now, we don't like to see people go in a spiral, spiral out of control. True. Sometimes nothing we can do. The question always came up last week. Someone said, do I have an obligation, reach out to family members that are Christians or whatever? So, otherwise, they're in serious trouble, right? So my long answer was, you have no obligations. You want to send them information, good. You don't have to. But isn't it sad what's going to happen to them later? Yes. Is there anything we can do about it? We can try. You know what they say, you can't make them drink. You can't make the horse drink. What do? But it's going to be painful for them later. They're going to pay a serious price later. So what do? You can try, get them information, cajole them, speak to them, this, that. At some point, they're going to tell you to bug off. They're going to tell you, it's my life, I'll live the way I want. You think this, whatever. Okay. Some things you can't do. You're not in control. Can't do anything about it. It's painful. It is definitely painful. On the other hand, if someone's a drug addict and, they could seriously kill themselves, whatever, try and do whatever you can to stop them. If possible. If you can't, if you can't, you can't. And again, it depends on the specific, situation of a person's over whatever the phrase is. You're going, beyond the boundaries. What you should do. Now, some people want you to do that. Some people are interested you should do that. Other people, more private. They don't want. So you got to be careful. Even if it's to their own benefit. Because who says they can hear it? Can't always hear what you have to say. It's a hard thing. Because in the end, we know what the truth is. You don't want to see people suffer like that. Or may suffer like that. Someone asked to come as the Messiah, 13 tribe will rise, and Israel's tribe will be the tribe of Mashiach. I don't know about that. Who says? Who says it's going to be more than 12 tribes? Yeah. If so, who'll be included? I don't know that exists. And there's a big question, by the way. There is a big question whether 12 tribes come back or not. Major difference of opinion. Do the tribes come back or not? Some say they do, some say they don't. But even if they would, let's say, according to that opinion, they'll come back, very good. So even if they come back, they're going to be 12 tribes. Remember, what does the tribe of Mashiach mean? Where's the Messiah coming from? right? There's a Messiah of Yosef, tribe of Ephraim, right? Menashe and Ephraim, and a tribe of, and sorry, you have the Messiah of David. Where's the Messiah of David come from? Tribe of Yehuda. It's got to be the tribe of Yehuda. Yeah. Now, aren't there going to be other people part of that tribe? If they survive the war of Gog and Magog, there's going to be a war. Whoever survives. Yeah. Does anyone know what tribe they are unless they're a Levi or a Cohen? They come from the tribe of Levi. No one else knows. No one else knows they're going to be the tribe of Dan, tribe of Yehuda, tribe of Yisachar. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Who's going to fix all that up? Who's going to make order after the Messiah comes, Elijah the prophet? But whoever the Messiah is, the Messiah has to come from the line of David. Where does David come from? The tribe of Yehuda. Yeah. So who's going to be part of that tribe? Whoever Elijah the prophet says is going to be part of that tribe will be part of the tribe. And not necessarily Mashiach tribe. He's from the tribe of Yehuda. Very good. There are 12 tribes. Not going to be a new tribe. Not that I've heard of. Right? Not going to be a new tribe. There will be the tribe of Yehuda. Okay. How did they merit the tribe of Yehuda? That's where they came from. Doesn't mean they're going to be a king or anything, but that's where they come from. People come from the tribe of Dan. Tribe of Levi. Tribe of Zvulun. But nobody knows. Nobody knows which tribe they come from unless they're a Cohen or a Levite. And that was passed down generation to generation. That we know. That's pretty clear. Everyone else, nobody knows. But even when the Messiah comes, it's going to be from the tribe of Yehuda. So whoever else is part of that tribe, okay. They'll be part of that tribe also. Can't join. It's not a question of who's going to join or not. Not a question like that. Right? If a person came from that tribe, that's the tribe they'll be from. If they're from a different tribe, they'll be from a different tribe, but nobody knows. Right? The only person who knows is going to make order out of it is Elijah the prophet. So it's not going to be a tribe, a Mashiach tribe. It's going to be anyone who's part of that tribe in general. Someone asked, someone said work with addicts is often due to some trauma as a child, right? Probably. Caused by emotions, yeah. Yeah, well, drug addicts, alcoholics, yeah, usually it's based on a major trauma. Right? I would agree. I would definitely agree. Someone here mentioned 13 tribes about land division, not really a tribe. Okay, but again, that land division is going to be based on what? On which tribe you come from. Right? I know somebody who's a Levite will say, I'm getting prime property right in the old city. Beautiful. Yeah, very good. But it's about land division. I don't know, even to come from that tribe, I don't know why that would make such a difference. Either you're from one tribe or another tribe. So whichever tribe you come from, that's how land's going to be divided up. Okay. So it's going to be like another land division of that. Seems very strange to me. Someone asked about different looks of Jewish people. If one of the tribes, nobody knows. Right? Nobody knows. Nobody knows what anyone from one tribe or another tribe looks like. They do say genetically, if you're the tribe of Levi or you're a Cohen, you have a certain DNA. You have a certain DNA. They wanted to say that specific thing that only that tribe has. Okay. No, let's say that's true. Right? Let's say that's true. Any other tribe, we don't know any character trait. How a person looks, how big their nose is, other things, no character trait. None. Right? There's no look for that. So nobody would know. Right? There's no concrete way, let's just put it this way. There's no concrete proof how a person is going to prove what tribe they're from unless they're from the tribe of Levi. If they're a Kohen or a Levite, that's passed down generation to generation. Anyone else, no one has any clue. No one's asked me, does that bother you? I'm like, no. Elijah the prophet will sort that out. Okay. Don't worry which tribe I'm from. What difference does it matter? If I'm around when all that happens and the land gets divided, good. So have a piece here, a piece there, whatever. Doesn't really, in the bigger scheme of things, doesn't really matter. Right? There's so many other things I would worry about being, before that. I mean, this is an interesting question, but practically speaking, has no ramifications. Would have no ramifications. Someone asked, what about converts? They part of the 12 tribes? They should be. Where would they go? I don't know. That is a good question. Let me see if someone addresses it. The end of chapter 47, Ezekiel, the prophet writes, converts will inherit the land with the Jews, among the tribe they've dwelt with. Okay. So in other words, wherever tribe they live by, they'll be part of that tribe. Rapsagigon and Amunah Vadeos, chapter 7 says simple meaning that they would join the tribe they live with. Okay. That's one opinion. They will be part of the tribe that they live with. I mean, they don't really inherit though, also. Right? Converts don't necessarily inherit. Really part of everybody else. Question is, are they part of a particular tribe? But here, whatever. Someone mentioned they'll be part of the tribe they were with. Some say, brought down in a medrash, that Yechezkel in Ezekiel chapter 48, verses 18 and 19, it mentions an unnamed group called city workers, i.e. Eved Ha'ir, right? Literally like slave of the city. Yeah, they'll be given a piece of land in Israel, contributed to by all the tribes together. Could be they get that. Someone wants to claim maybe they get that. Yeah, again, I'm not really so sure. They really don't inherit, but according to this, that's what the Medrash says. And according to what we said before, that's what Rav Sajigon says. And someone learns according to Ezekiel chapter 47, that whatever tribe they were part of, that's where they go. That's what they were, that's what they would inherit. I mean, they're not going to be tribe of Levi, right? Because they're not, converts not part of that, will never be part of that tribe. But it's interesting though, because if you talk about distribution of land, they don't inherit. Converts in general don't inherit. So they shouldn't have a portion of the land, right? That's why either, according to one opinion, there'll be this extra group that tribes will give land to, and they'll inherit that, or you tell me, according to Rav Sajigon, that they're going to, what do you call it? They will inherit the tribe where they were, right? In other words, wherever they lived amongst whatever tribe they were by, then they would be part of that tribe. Again, I'm not so sure on that. Somebody asked, can we do it to Yadayim? Can you say the blessing over washing your hands, either for bread, I assume, and say the blessing outside of it? Question was, sorry, can you wash your hands in a bathroom? Say the blessing outside of it. in theory, it doesn't disqualify, but shouldn't do it. Should really wash outside the bathroom, right? Wash in the kitchen sink, doesn't matter, right? A lot of people have, let's say, sinks in their, in their hallway, let's say. But let's say you didn't have a place. You didn't have a sink, you didn't have anything. The only place to wash is in the bathroom. Okay, so you have no choice, right? But I would say it's better not. If you have no choice, you have no choice. But it's better not. Can you make blessings and pray where there's a dog? Yeah, that's not a problem. As long as there's no, there's no excrement, no dog poop or anything around, then yeah, that wouldn't be, that wouldn't be a problem, right? Even if it's a non-kosher animal, doesn't matter. You can make a blessing, around them. What happens when you sleep? Do we have an opportunity to spend with the Creator, or is anything? Your soul goes up when you sleep. Your soul can go through like different spiritual worlds, all kinds of other things. We have no idea. We have no idea. One of the reasons, we say Okai Neshama, blessing over having our souls come back to our body, because that's what literally happens. Your soul goes up, goes into, I don't know, wherever it goes. You're never going to remember, usually. You're never going to remember. Unless, a person has a dream, where dreams don't really mean that much. But if a person has a dream, they're given a direct command or whatever, let's say through, angel or who knows what, and it's a real thing, okay, right? Then they understand it's a real thing. But in general, we can have any connotation whatsoever that, when a person sleeps and their soul goes up and where it went and what happened to it, usually not, right? 99%, 99.999%, you'll never know. You'll never know. Not something we can fathom. Again, whatever a person dreams, we always say that they don't matter, right? But there's, dreams have no validity usually, unless they're like very specific things that happen over and over again. But in general, usually they have no validity. Nothing in a dream, for us really matters. It could be things we thought about. It could be, I don't know, something a person ate, cause a person to dream about certain things. But most dreams have no validity. No validity whatsoever. Not something a person should worry about. If it's something, a dream came up a number of times, a person, let's say, is worried about it, then you can do what we call hatavas halom. You can try and like nullify nullify your nerves, so to speak, because it's bad dream. Because a person had bad dream. But in general, dreams don't mean very much. Who wrote Pirke Avos? I don't think there's a specific author. It's not a I don't think it's specific. Someone asked to someone asked for the 5th chapter. We'll get there one day. That are anonymous. Someone claims that the 1st chapter, 2nd chapter, parts of the 5th chapter are attributed to Rabbi Akiva. Okay, that's they're attributed to Rabbi Akiva. Okay, I guess that's one opinion. Someone to say, I don't know if this is Those are the first two chapters. Focus on students of Yochanan ben Zakkai, right? Students of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. I don't know if we know this. Whatever, someone points out that those chapters have to do with Rabbi Akiva, others about students of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. Don't know, not clear. Not clear over here. To do more research on that. Any other Rabbi Akiva, not Akiva. Akiva ben Yosef, as he's known, or Rabbi Akiva. Yeah. Some want to say first, second, and certainly fifth chapter were written by him. So I'm not really sure. Not really sure. Again, some attribute it to students of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. Who's right? Don't know. Don't know. That I have to look into more. Any other questions? All right, I'm gonna stop here. I do this every Saturday, 2:00 Eastern time, 9:00. 9:00 Israel time. Someone asks, what's the meaning of this month? Mar Cheshvan. Why it's called Mar Cheshvan? Mar means bitter. Why is it the bitter month? It's bitter month because there are no holidays. The only month doesn't have anything going on. No holidays, no fast days. Right? Every other month, after Cheshvan is Kislev, right? The other month you have Hanukkah. Teves is the fast of 10th of Teves. Then you have Shvat, you have Tu B'Shvat, right? 15th of Shvat. Adar is Purim, and the fast of Esther. Nisan is Passover, right? It's all about Passover. Iyar, second Passover, right? Really, if you were impure, during the first Passover, you could have matzah and bitter herbs on that day, in that month. Then you have Sivan, which is Shavuos. Tammuz, the fast of 17th of Tammuz. Av is the fast of 9th of Tammuz. And you have El, you don't really have anything when you pull the shofar, but preparation for Rosh Hashanah. Then you have Tishrei, which is all the holidays. So Mar Cheshvan is because there are no holidays. No holidays, no fast days, no nothing. That's why it's called Mar Cheshvan. Literally the bitter Cheshvan, but that's the reason, because no holidays, no fast days going on. And with that, I'm going to stop here. I do this every Saturday, 2:00 Eastern time, 9:00 Israel time. Anyone has any questions, find me on Facebook at Mark Chaim Kaufman, Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism, orthodoxconversion.com, Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism on YouTube. There I got videos on the ethics of our fathers, the book of Leviticus, Q&As, etc. You want to send me an email, rabbichaimkaufman@gmail.com, RBBICHAIMCOFFMAN @gmail.com. Wishing everyone a good beginning of the day, middle of the day.